Well, it's starting to become somewhat of an ongoing tradition for the outgoing governor, a parting shot, if you will, a flurry of new hire appointments on the way out the door. Deval Patrick is no different. With just days left on the job, the governor is naming 150 people to take positions in state panels, boards, commissions, all of these different positions charged with regulating everything from the housing to emissions, all different things throughout the state. Now, Patrick made more than 300 appointments over the last 6 months, but the Globe reports Patrick is actually taking this tradition one step further. He's trying to make new laws that would block Governor-elect Charlie Baker from possibly rescinding any of those appointments, taking the positions back. The state law does allow Baker to undo any of those appointments Patrick made in his last 15 days of the term. A Long Westfield firefighter struck and killed as he crosses the road in Yarmouth. Sad news today. Police say the driver who hit him was drunk. Paul Dennehy, pictured here, trudged into court Monday morning after a dark weekend. Prosecutors say he had been drinking earlier in the evening before getting behind the wheel. Now, police say he was driving along Route 28 when he hit Kevin Regan and Linda Kavanaugh, who were running across the street at the time. The two were high school sweethearts since they were spending a few days together on Cape Cod when the tragedy occurred. Regan served as a firefighter for the last 43 years. He was killed in the accident. Emergency responders airlifted Kavanaugh to a Boston hospital to treat her serious injuries. Her father was also a lifelong firefighter, and the engaged couple had plans to be married. Regan comes from a family of firefighters himself. While he served over 4 decades, his sister is the chief over in Westfield. Well, we haven't had a big snowstorm here this year. Good news for our precious piles of road salt. The supply extremely low. There's not much left after the brutal weather last year. You might remember it depleted stockpiles all over the region, around the country too. The Wall Street Journal actually reports that prices for road salt are up 20% from last year around the nation. But here in Massachusetts, we paid even more than that. Spokesman Mike Versecki said the state locked in prices between $70 and $71. That's a 36% hike up from last year. He says it's the most the state has paid in about 5 years, and again, fortunately, we haven't had to use much of it just yet. In other news, a woman in Blackstone arraigned on murder charges connected to what's been called a house of horrors. Erica Murray's home had to be torn down after 4 children were found living in terrible conditions. Officials also uncovered the remains of 3 other children there in the home. When the remains were found, Murray was originally charged with fetal death concealment. But earlier this month, the grand jury upgraded 2 of those charges to murder. Those charges are connected to 2 children who were also found in diapers and wearing clothes. Murray was also charged with abuse, neglect, and child endangerment in connection to her 4 surviving children and is being held on $1 million bail. The case, of course, came to light back in September when authorities discovered the children living in a home littered with debris and filth. Hazmat crews were called in to remove that trash and debris, and the home eventually torn down. And because of the upgraded murder charges, the case has actually been moved over to Worcester Superior Court. And sadly, reports of child abuse up across the state, according to a new review by the State Office of the Child Advocate. Allegations of abuse, specifically those happening outside of children's homes, rose 16% in 2013. 538 alleged cases showing up in this new report. Abuse and mistreatment for children in settings like foster homes, daycare, schools, all places like these. The author of the annual report says the state doesn't need to just throw new money at it. They need more officials and more agencies actually directly involved in the lives of these children.